Hello and a warm welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. As Narendra Modi-led NDA government marks its first anniversary in its third term, BJP President J P Nadda today said that the work done under the Prime Minister's leadership towards good governance and welfare of the poor will be etched in golden letters. Now, the BJP government obviously completes 11 years today, and since it came to power at the center in 2014, and PM Modi took oath for a third term on June 9th, 2024. Now, what JP Nadda said, and I'm going to give you a few excerpts of what he has said, and I'm going to quote him exactly. He said that work done by the government under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi in the past 11 years were extraordinary and should be written in golden letters. This is one thing. And he was holding a press conference at the BJP headquarters when he said all this. Then he says, emphasizing on a shift post 2014, he says that the government, that is the Congress-led UPA before 2014, was full of corruption. There was negativism. However, after 2014, there was a shift from negativism to optimism. And everyone today says, Modi hai, to mumkin hai. This is what Mr. Nadda said. Then he also asserted that the NDA government will complete the tenure in this term as well as the next term. He's pointed that out. Then he said that 11 years ago, our political culture was marked by appeasement and breaking the fragments of the society to save one's chair. But after Modi ji came to power, politics of performance, responsive and responsible government, accountable, politics of report card emerged to form the new culture. The new normal, new order has been established. This is what JP Nadda emphasized in his press conference. Then again, he cited Article 370. He said that Article 370 was repealed in Jammu and Kashmir, abolition of triple talaq, Waqf Amendment Act, demonetization, women quota bill as some of the bold decisions which were taken by the BJP government under Prime Minister's leadership. And this is the change. This is the bold decision taken by the BJP government. And he's also talked about the work which the government has done against terrorism, where he also criticized the people who were speaking negatively about the Operation Sindoor and the foreign policy, and about the opposition's claim of Prime Minister Modi lacking courage to hold press meets. What he has said, and I'm just going to quote, if you see Rahul Gandhi or Jairam Ramesh, they never discuss the core issues. What's the problem if a national party chief addresses a press conference on the 11th anniversary of the government, and the number of times the Prime Minister converses with the public is not even close to the number of times Jairam ji ever talked to anyone during his lifetime? And a day earlier, in a post on X, Congress General Secretary Jairam Ramesh already had said that leaders across the world hold freewheeling press conferences from time to time, but ours has had none for 11 years. So this is what JP Nadda had spoken all about in a quintessence. So we'll get straight into the discussion that 11 years of Modi rule, do we see Prime Minister Modi as a stronger leader, as a much more powerful leader, as a political craftsman who's been able to manage a coalition government equally well as what he was conducting himself with a full majority government in 2014 and in 2019. Joining me now is political commentator and author Nilanjan Mukhopadhyay. Thank you so much, Nilanjan, for joining. We have S. Srinivasan, who's the head of the Federal Group, editor-in-chief. Thank you so much for joining. And I'll begin with Nilanjan. Nilanjan, the press conference which was held by Mr. J P Nadda, he said a lot of things. But to begin with, would we really say that Prime Minister Modi has really emerged as one of the very powerful leaders? And when BJP says that the work done by Prime Minister Modi is something which should be etched in golden letters, it has not been done ever before. Would you agree with that?
No, I would partially agree, but partially disagree also. Yes, 11 years continuing as Prime Minister is a good achievement. It's a meaning. It's an instance of political triumph. It's a fact. It underscores that there has not been such significant challenge to Mr. Modi. He's been able to weather whatever hurdles came in his way. Yes. As far as development and policies are concerned, that yes, a lot of schemes have been started. There has been a lot of emphasis on infrastructure development, but the quality remains highly dubious and suspect. We talk about roads all the time. I think anybody in the Indian capital needs to take a drive through the Pragati Maidan tunnel. I'm using Pragati Maidan because of the word and the connotation of the word Pragati. Now, it was supposed to be, a showpiece of India's modernity and underpass from beneath a newly developed Pragati Maidan, which was set up in 1972, one of the major architectural and developmental, steps of during Indira Gandhi's tenure. Last year, there were reports that the tunnel cannot be repaired anymore and that it needs to be repaired. I am dreading what is going to be the fate of Delhiites, especially those who live on the other side of the Yamuna River. What is going to be the fate this time during the monsoon session? Likewise, you just have to drive through various highways of the country, and you will know that roads are bumpy. So this quality is very suspect. Corruption not being there is being constantly harped by the BJP leaders. You talk to the people, they constantly say that corruption is an all-time high. We are not able to get to see the evidence of it. So really, it's become a very neat and a very clean system by which corruption is continuing. There has been development, but there has also been huge disparity. I think that is something we need to understand. The destruction of or I would rather use the word, the downfall and the decline in the economic clout of the Indian middle class is really staggering. We have seen a very tiny, section of Indians becoming super rich, and you have seen the majority constantly falling beneath the lines of comfort uh, that is there. Yes, there would have been some amount of poverty elevation, but the very fact that this government has to give free food, I think, is acknowledgement that there is something very faulty about our economic policy, that you need to give free food to as many as 800 million people, which is a huge amount of people who do not have their economic capacity to buy food for themselves. So I would say that it's a mixed baggage in terms of development and in terms of policies. As far as is political power within the party is concerned, question marks remain. Last year there was no parliamentary board meeting or a elect Mr. Modi as the leader of the BJP. I am not saying that there is an open challenge to Mr. Modi, but beneath the surface, there is a simmering of unrest. Otherwise, why should not such an important meeting not be held to elect? And for the first time, you can go in the history of the BJP. Every time there has been an election of a leader, there has always been a parliamentary board meeting. Definitely, Mr. Modi, at the end of the first year of 3.0, is a bit more stable. There has been fewer challenges from him. I would say that the allies of the NDA allies, especially the three most important ones, which was actually the Telugu Desam, the JDU, and then the Chirag Paswan's, Lok Jan Shakti Party. They haven't really been demanding, the way coalition partners demand. NDA coalition was there between 98 and 2004. We know that how much the NDA partners would be snapping at the heels of the Prime Minister then, Mr. Vajpayee. That has not happened. The opposition has also not been able to put its acts together, either in elections, as reflected in Haryana, Maharashtra, and Delhi. Jharkhand very badly backfired because of a wrong strategy by angering the tribal people by trying to create an anti-tribal narrative. But overall, I would say that Mr.
No,
Modi would be
Nilanjan,
a bit
can
more
I just
comfortable.
interrupt you here for a
Yeah.
few seconds? Of course, opposition has not been able to put up a great challenge for Prime Minister Modi. So there is almost no opposition except for few issues here and there which the opposition keeps raising. But what about the internal dynamics within the BJP? With whole lot of things happening, that how is RSS going to respond? Modi will complete 75 years now. He'll be 75 in September. Should he be
Exactly.
phased out? Should he not be phased out? And he is constantly trying to stabilize himself, with every passing day as much as he can. The most recent being Operation Sindoor, and the way he has projected himself. But are things really so smooth within the BJP? Forget the opposition. What about within the BJP dynamics?
No, within the BJP, definitely not. We just don't have to say that within the BJP, because we have to look at the larger fraternity. We have to look at what is happening within the Sangh Parivar. We actually, 2024 was a very significant year for the open decision of the RSS not to actively participate in the Lok Sabha in the Lok Sabha elections. Uh, it had an impact in the sense that the BJP fell short of a majority. So, putting it very bluntly, the RSS actually showed Mr. Modi and the BJP what the RSS is capable of. Now, this was very important in the backdrop of that infamous statement which was given by J P Nadda to in a newspaper interview, where he said that the BJP does not need the RSS anymore. We are saksham, or we are powerful now. That there was a time when we needed the RSS help, but now we are competent on our own way and we do not need the support. It was also a very personalized campaign. Everything was Modi's guarantee, everything was 400 plus Mr. Modi. So the BJP uh, started facing a lot of resentment from within the RSS foot soldiers. Several people that people like us spoke to, would openly say that why should we participate in the elections if Mr. Modi has taken the guarantee, let him deliver on it. So, it was a very snide way of putting it that they were not happy with this extreme level of personality cult projection of Mr. Modi, which the RSS has never liked for the last, 11 years, since 2014. That has been always one problem. So eventually, over the year, from the 4th of June onwards, there was this very bitter 3-month phase: June, July, August, and even September. Where Mr. Mohan Bhagwat repeatedly came out making very direct, blunt, critical remarks against people with certain characters which are openly identified with Mr. Modi. Now, he did not take the name of Mr. Modi, but there was nobody in the country who had any doubt that who he was speaking about. So it was definitely a very critical, which eventually passed out because there was that a coordination committee meeting of the RSS, the Samanvay Samiti meeting in Palghat in Kerala in the month of September, which was attended by Mr. Nadda along with another party functionary, and they were given short shrift in that meeting, and they eventually made a presentation saying what the BJP had made a mistake in the Lok Sabha elections. Thereafter, RSS, that okay, the deviant has come home and seeking a pardon and all that. So it happened. So things eventually came down to a stage where everything became cozy within the Sangh Parivar, but only after Mr. Modi went to Nagpur and publicly appeared on a program on a very symbolic day, on a major festival, the Gudi Parva festival. On that day, the inauguration of a temple's new wing. So that continued. But after Operation Sindoor, I think that Mr. Modi is once again wanting to have functional autonomy within the BJP. I think the biggest evidence of this is that so far there is no decision on the next BJP president. To a great extent, we
Right.
will get an indication, a clue as to what is the equation within the Sangh Parivar on the choice of the new president? That whether it is Mr. Modi's way or whether it is a consensual way, which is what the RSS is demanding.
Right. All right, I'll come to Srini sir now. Srini, how would you really see this 11 years period of Modi tenure, and especially the last 1 year, if we may say, that he's managed to stitch the coalition very well. He's proved himself as a leader who believes in cohesion, and he has managed that very well. I'm not even getting into the means of how it was done, but the very fact that he's managed to put the coalition together, to sustain it well, and Chandrababu Naidu singing peons of Modi yesterday in an interview to India Today really spoke volumes about the manner in which he has managed the allies very well. So, what would you really say, and to what also JP Nadda said today during the press conference? You'll have to unmute, sir. Srini, sir, you're muted. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Neela. Like Nilanjan said, I do agree that these 11 years have been phenomenal for Modi. It has been beyond expectation of many commentators. Uh, it looked as if the first term was over, and then in the second term there was probably some uh, severely criticism happened because of some missteps. Things like you had 2016, you have your currency was devalued, uh, you know, so there were claims made, and then the UP elections came, then Ram Janmabhoomi agitation, the Mandir came up. So every time it was thought that, it was a one trick, or a, one trick pony, or a one trick government. That's a kind of impression which was there for a long time. But then things changed. Then you had, in the 2019, you had Pulwama, and then again you had a different thing which came up. Uh, so you had some kind of a result, but then later in 2024, when the results came and Modi couldn't get a majority of his own, so there were people who thought that this government is going to be completely different from the other two we have seen so far. Now, what it appears to me is actually a continuation. It's not just a continuation, it's an extremely smooth continuation of the previous two. In fact, this time the government last 1 year seemed to run its course far more smoothly than what it was earlier. I think three things, like Nilanjan pointed out, the victory in assembly elections certainly gave a boost to this government, and that kind of managed to change the political narrative. See, the politics is all about what you perceive. So people begin to perceive that, his mojo is back. And now you could see that once again he has begun to address himself in third person, which is a very, very clear indication that his confidence and other things are all back. And one important help electorally, as Nilanjan pointed out, is the return of RSS. Once they have shown that we can damage, I think they have come back and support. So he is back on the track now. But the question really is that in these 11 years, what has been the major achievement? Two things have happened. One is on the politics. See, the majoritarianism is firmly here. I don't think you know the government further need to do anything, because it's very firmly seemed to have settled in a large section of population that it is hurtling towards the Hindu nation. In the sense that the nationalism, the idea of nationalism, which was there during independence, which is inclusive, is now resulted in a very different form now, which is kind of, this one is built on an exclusivism, politics of excluding certain sections, and that seems to have come to more or less uh, stay now, because the constant thing which we keep saying, and today again Nadda repeated, the politics of appeasement. That's a word they constantly keep using, which was, which was there in the previous Congress regimes, to accommodate minorities, which was coined as an, Advani used to famously say everywhere, politics of appeasement, and that was repeated once again. So with this current Pahalgam, one more thing seemed to have happened, that the nationalism which earlier Congress could say that, look, this is not a nationalism which India voted for when it came to, when it obtained independence. It's a very different kind of nationalism, which is basically, a nationalism based on a certain, a certain religion. But this seemed to have changed after the Pahalgam attack, uh, when the soldiers were on the borders, when they were actually fighting the enemy. Uh, Opposition was left with nothing because they couldn't do even the normal criticism which was expected from them as an opposition, to raise questions. So they completely stopped doing it because they were quite, they're pushed into a corner. And so the situation further consolidated in favor of Modi. That's what seems to happen. And as far as opposition is concerned, they become even more ineffective than what they were earlier. A party like Congress, which managed to win 100 seats nearly, 99, and one later. So it was expected that the party would at least perform as a strong opposition. With Rahul Gandhi himself became a leader of opposition, and he gave some fiery speeches in the parliament. One expected that there'll be some amount of after all, in a democracy you need a strong opposition. That's how the checks and balances is provided within the democratic framework. It was expected that it will happen, but again, it didn't, because there were more parliamentary committees formed, more issues were referred to that, but then decisions went along hurtling as it was earlier. The other thing is, like, the coalition partners, mainly two parties, JD and TDP. They, the thing is, at least Janata Dal in Bihar at least has got some incentives, but TDP hasn't got anything. There've been no special package. There've been no special this thing, except that from Amravati, they probably got some promise for sovereign guarantee for long-term loans. But TDP is not raising any issue, and you saw the fate of another party which never raised anything, which is Naveen Patnaik's, Biju Janata Dal in Orissa. Similarly, TDP has completely, taken a different course now. Not just that, it's, leave alone raising state issues. He's now, yesterday's speech, as you correctly pointed out, that he's showering praises. They all seem to have completely aligned, because that's what the politics, they all seem to have understood the signal from the ground. And the same is happening with Omar in Jammu Kashmir. The CM who came with a different mandate, raising issues on Article 370 and all, and now seem to be singing a different tune. So more or less, the politics is, as the political side is concerned, it seems to have finally firmly crystallized in favor of BJP. With this ideology firmly in place and opposition finding a very little leg room to do anything. But as far as real issues are concerned, as some of the things which Niranjan pointed out, I won't repeat some of them, but let's look at some aspects of economy. So it was expected that economy would pick up, but if you see you had to see, and we had recently in federal we had a report. If you look at the 10, 11 years of economic growth, and you had to compare with the UPA years, see the average GDP growth is lower than what it was earlier. So if GDP growth rate is one yardstick which government wants to tom-tom, it's obviously not the same kind of growth which one saw during UPA period, their decade. And if you compare that with this, the growth rate is certainly low. There was some serious problem when the pandemic came and the growth really went down, and then there was the expectation that it would come up. Of course, there was a base effect. It did come up, but then the kind of cuts the government has given to the industry to revive the capital goods industry, the kind of cut happened in, indirect tax, basically the corporation tax. It hasn't resulted in anything. Companies took all the advantage, but haven't actually plowed back the money. So the capital expenditure of the industry is really hasn't picked up. The consumption has picked up. What is really very serious is the foreign investment has fallen, and Indian companies are now sending money out and investing abroad. This is another report we carried in the federal, which is again a very worrying, indicator, where they prefer to invest abroad than investing in their own country, which actually requires a lot of investment at the current stage. So they have tried every means to kickstart the economy. The rates are really low as far as corporate tax are concerned, and the other kind of concessions were also given to them. But then the revival is simply not happening. Surprisingly, the agriculture growth rate is better. Though we are facing, severe climatic adverse conditions, that seems to have come to the rescue of the government. And then there are there are other things like, Indian economy is now grown. We are the fourth largest. Soon will become third. These kind of things keep happening, which really have no major impact on a person. The prices are really high. If you look at the vegetable prices, the fruits, pulses, for a common person, these are all serious issues. But I think the welfare measures and the direct benefit transfer seem to have really help those in the margins, which is, kind of provide them sustenance. And like 80 crore people are still given this food at subsidized prices. So I think those kind of initiatives, free actually, not even subsidized. I think those kind of initiatives are really keeping the masses, at least satisfied that they're getting, they're able to put the basic food on the table. I think that. And then if you look at the other important issue is how our foreign policy has panned out. So we are running a series of stories. We'll have a story on that as well, how foreign policy of India has been shaped all these years and how it has turned. So from being someone who would be, it was seen that India would be playing a major role as far as major powers are concerned. We had even though India never had never had a place in the high table where Security Council members and G5 or G7 members sat. We didn't have that kind of G5 group of five where they sat. We didn't have that kind of place, but we still had a lot of moral strength as far as international diplomacy is concerned. It was spoken that okay, probably when the Ukraine war was happening, India could play an active role. It could mediate between Ukraine and Russia because we have good relations with both the countries. Or when something happened in, when the attack, when Palestinians were attacked, that we could in the past take a moral position against those who, who are getting slaughtered. And there is very little talk about those kind of issues. In fact, politically, it has become extremely sensitive, even to, even when I think Priyanka Gandhi tried to bring a bag designed or written Palestinian on it, it became an issue now. So things have taken a very different, turn now. Look at the way the issue is turning out in Bangladesh. So our neighborhood policy is also not the same as it used to be. So there are a number of difficulties, number of issues. So, but none of this, I think once the expression Teflon PM was used for Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, I think the same repetition of that kind of phenomena is now being seen for Modi.
Okay, so my final round of questions to both of you. I'll come to Nilanjan first. So, what do we assume after 11 years? Is the anger against Prime Minister Modi, is it a manufactured and an artificial process? Many feel that unnecessary, there is so much of criticism of Modi? Or are we to assume that people are really happy with the prime minister and there are not many reasons to be angry about? How would one look at it? And just because the 60% of the representation which is done by the opposition, they are not able to put the issues across. So whom would you really blame? I mean, people are happy, or the problem is with the opposition that they cannot raise the issues?
No, I definitely think that the problem is with the position. Look at Operation Sindoor. 22nd of April to now, it's we are almost completing 2 months. We still do not know anything about the people who actually attacked. Where have they disappeared? So the government has completely failed to haul up, to arrest, to detain the people who are responsible for the Pahalgam. That's one. The second is that India's isolation in the world. As Srinivasan pointed out very correctly, that uh, India does not have that moral standing which it used to have. Forget moral standing, even on such a major issue, countries have not come out and unequivocally condemned Pakistan for having links with what we are claiming to be terrorists who are in league with Pakistan, who are propped up by them. So there's clearly no support for that. There have been several, subcommittees of the UNSC, including one on the sanctions against Taliban, which after a lot of action, that chairmanship has come to Pakistan. India has not been able to block it. We could not even block the IMF loan. It was a straightaway business deal. That is how it went. So I would say that that is one major failure which should have been pointed out by the opposition here. The opposition parties, barring the Congress, has not said anything on Sindoor. What has the Congress said on Operation Sindoor? That you actually declared ceasefire too soon. There are these two startling issues. One was a video was released in which it was an AI generated video in which Indira Gandhi is berating Narendra Modi for having surrendered too early. What have you done when success was there within your arm's reach? Why did you actually bow down, etc., etc. Likewise, Rahul Gandhi made that, tried to lampoon Modi by saying that Narendra surrender, that is what Donald Trump did. So the intervention of the US president was not really established and criticized properly. The fact that after Shimla Agreement from 1972 onwards, India had very firmly said India-Pakistan matters are strictly bilateral, but it became a multilateral issue. Let us not forget that Prime Minister, the President, and the other State Department of the US made a statement that India and Pakistan will hold talks on Kashmir in a neutral venue, which is also against India's firmly held position in the past. We have to see the government of India has said that no, we will not be doing it, but then it is saying so at the moment. We do not know how the script will run, what is going to happen in future. So there has been a failure on the part of the opposition to be able to articulate matters. Even on the issue of Waqf bill, I do not think that the matter has been articulated properly by the opposition parties, even though it has, made the minorities committees, the minorities, Muslims especially, very despondent. They really see themselves as being targeted and being marginalized in society. So, but it has not been done. I get the sense that Just as 2024 elections, nobody actually predicted 3 months before the verdict came out on the 4th of June that the BJP is to fall short of majority. There were a few people who kept on saying, we were among the few people, who kept on saying that the BJP is struggling. It is not a done deal. There are problems. I remember, I wrote several articles in the Federal also saying that it is not falling, everything is not falling in place. Gradually things started becoming clear when Mr. Modi went back with a very communally charged speech, which he delivered in Banswara in Rajasthan in the month of April, which gave an indication that the positive development centered campaign is not working. So I would say that at the moment, Mr. Modi is in comfort zone, but he's skating on thin ice. We do not know when the cracks will come, but
Right.
once it appears, then it is going to be, very difficult to actually control because there are problems on all fronts, be it
Right.
economy, be it social harmony, be it, look at any dimension, there are problems. And when things start happening, they tend to feed onto each other, just the way that it fed into each other in 2024 during the Lok Sabha elections.
Okay, so Srinisa, what Nilanjan is saying that he's in a comfortable zone, but on a thin ice. What would you really say towards the answer? Yeah.
Well, one thing about politics, it changes very fast. I mean, one can't, foresee much ahead. So we, like he correctly said, we didn't know what is going to be the outcome of 2024. Dramatically, it was different. The subsequently last 1 year has been pretty different than what anybody would have imagined. So the change would come. When it comes, it will come very rapidly. So we'll have to wait and watch. But then, like you said, underlying signals, uh, and they will continue there for some time. And then election doesn't happen because of one single reason. The multitude of issues which
True.
gather, and then one of the also reason is if you look at globally, the impact of President Trump's election has been a major factor. The whole way he is governing, the way things are going, is also have an effect overall on the global politics. But then let me come back to two important issues which I think we shouldn't forget while assessing the performance of this government, Modi's third term. Media has certainly played a very, very crucial role, and we shouldn't forget it. And media, all that uh, completely now surrendered itself, then there is no sign of actually media's revival. I'm personally become pretty hopeless now that even if politicians now say why they don't hold press conference, I'm doubtful even if a press conference was held, what is the kind of question they're going to ask now? Because the managing a press conference also now become a nice art now. You can hold a press conference, still get away with not saying much. So that noisy, media, which should really actually, uh, you know, hold, the media used to be pretty unorganized, noisy. It had its own fights. It's a different kind of a chaotic situation. All that is gone. It's very orderly. Things are all now almost as if we are living in you know, a different society. So I really, I've given up on that also. Press conference and no press conference, I have very little hope now. And media certainly magnifies. You see, opposition has a role, and but whatever opposition says, whenever there is a certain hesitation in terms of opposition, the media not just magnifies the issues, but also kind of gives a certain path. If you look at if you had to go back before 2014, media played a very massive role. The UPA 2 really got very bad, hit from the
Absolutely.
media. So that's also a very important player, and we have forgotten that. And
In
that's the
fact,
way
Lisa,
democracy.
I can so much relate to you while you are talking about this. We work together in channels like Aaj Tak and India Today. There were times when you sent us out as reporters, and we cannot forget those times when we were told, okay, the minister is not speaking, just push the mic into his mouth. He will say something. At least come back with with an answer from him. I mean, I also really am at pains that, why we are not seeing this kind of a
So,
moment now.
yeah.
People
So
have to
what you're
stop.
trying to say is holding power to account, questioning, getting answers for questions. All those things have gone now. So that has also played. So there is a trace of media which is playing an honorable role, but it is very, very minor in terms of a large section which is seem to have completely surrendered. So that's one very important aspect we shouldn't forget. Second is, I feel, the federal issues. At least states used to raise some of those issues, which actually, even if it's a BJP ruled state, even if it was a Congress ruled state, even if Congress was in power, the CMs had some say. They had some agency. They could say that these are the issues. But now what seems to have happened is that in BJP, after all, the massive, the person who could pull in all the votes who really mattered is Mr. Modi himself. So the state leadership almost all seem to have gone now, and it's surprising that they're not, which should be federal issues. For instance, equitable distribution of resources among the states, the terms of finance commission, which need to are discussed much more seriously, the issue of the governor, the way they behave in a BJP ruled states. Take the example of Delhi. It was so blatant. As long as AAP was in power, every day you will find Lieutenant Governor hitting the headlines. If I were to ask a question now, do you remember who is the Delhi governor right now, Lieutenant Governor? You might have forgotten. Because he is no longer seen in the headlines. Dramatically, he vanishes.
Yes.
So, also the other issues like education, which should really concern people, which should really concern the states. So, the language issue, the education issue. Of course, Tamil Nadu is raising this issue. Karnataka once in a while when it becomes convenient to raise this issue. But largely, many of these issues which the state used to raise as federal issues, all uh, you know, it's minimized now. There are states which still raise, but it a very very small extent. So this whole uh, a functioning democracy having its pulls and pressures and its the kind of sometimes it used to be frustrating also in the past that it used to cause delays and noises, chaotic situations. All that is kind of gone now. I mean, it's a very different world we are seeing now.
So we'll have to end it here. Thank you so much, Srini sir, Nilanchan. It was wonderful having you on the program. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.